Hey, what is happening, Cowboys Nation? And welcome to a special edition of Midday with Cam and Mass, the late night edition. And
Yeah.
welcome to the off season. Sooner than we had wanted.
Definitely
But
sooner than we wanted.
but I do have to say that for a team that lost their quarterback for 6 games and to go 12-5 and go too deep into the playoffs, I'm not going to say that this was a failure by any means of a season.
Yeah, it's hard because when you have teams like the Cowboys have, you have Super Bowl aspirations. This year, I really didn't going into the season. I thought they left a lot on the table. In the offseason, they could have done a lot of stuff. And you saw that. You saw them realize that late in the season as they tried to make these transactions to try to make up for it, trading for Hankins, signing T.Y. Hilton, the OBJ saga that went on for a month or two.
Way too long.
So they were trying to do things because they realized, oh, wait, we do have a really good team. These are all things that could have been addressed to start the season. But they weren't. So here we are. So, I'm a little frustrated because I do think we had a really talented team that could have done a lot. But again, here we are. We won a playoff game. We haven't add another year to the ticker of not making it to the Super Bowl, of not making it to the NFC Championship game. And we're kind of stuck, and it's unfortunate. I thought we could have done better. I thought that was a winnable game. Even up to the fourth quarter, I thought it was a winnable game, and we just didn't get it done, unfortunately.
Yeah, and to go from the high that we did playing in the Tampa Bay game, and it seemed like pretty much everything was flawless except for, God bless you, Mr. Maher, to a game that I'm confident saying that the defense did absolutely everything it needed to have won this game. There's besides that dropped interception by Diggs, I really don't have a whole lot to say about the defense in any negative fashion. The offense couldn't get out of its way, and then when Pollard went down, it got worse. And it did come out today that they are going to look at that tackle that broke Pollard's ankle and determine if that is an illegal tackle and should be allowed anymore.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's caused a lot of injuries. It didn't break Patrick Mahomes' ankle, but it got a high ankle sprain. So you have that. That's a risk. There's been a lot of injuries over the years with that type of tackle. You saw it when they implemented the horse collar tackle because it's kind of the same motion of dragging a player backwards. That's kind of dangerous. Now they're saying, people are rapid and it's getting hard. I get it. I mean, it's getting hard on defenders to tackle players. Even when, hey, we're not doing a horse collar, but we're grabbing this guy and I'm just trying to pull him down to the ground, but my weight falls on their ankle and they've been backwards. It's difficult, but it's, it's similar to the Dak tackle. Absolutely.
Right. And definitely to the Mahomes.
Yeah, it's a dangerous tackle, but you also have to weigh it to like, what can you do as a defender in those situations to bring the guy down?
Right.
But yeah, I think when people talk to me about that game this week, one of the first things I go to is that entire game changed when Pollard went down.
Yeah, we lost all our speed.
We had scored a touchdown, and then we were driving on that drive. And I'm not, if you look at it, if you just box score watch Pollard, if you just look at the box score, you're like, oh, Pollard wasn't even doing much, but he was affecting the game with the ball out of his hands as well. He was adding another threat, and unfortunately losing him and only having Zeke there and Malik Davis, it just wasn't enough. And when you don't have any weapons in the passing game outside of really CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz occasionally.
He made some pretty off. I mean, he made some bad mistakes, some bad mistakes in that game.
I'm sorry that everybody can talk about that last play that they drew up. And get it. I didn't like the play. It's whatever though, because That's a Hail Mary play anyways. They're trying to confuse the 49ers and seeing if they can catch them off guard. It didn't work. Whatever. It wasn't even a Hail Mary. It was we have to do something to lateral this around and do something.
Yeah. I question having Zeke in at center. I mean, just have Biotish in there. You have somebody that's going to be able to block that guy. I understand that they were going to try and get the ball to Turpin and use his speed at first. I get the design of it, but
it was just hey, let's try to really confuse them and hope for a miracle play and whatever. So I don't care about that play. Doesn't bother me. The play before is what bothers me, and it has nothing to do with anybody but Dalton Schultz. Dak makes a good throw to Dalton Schultz. All Dalton Schultz has to do is drag his feet,
2 feet,
and not lazily just run out of bounds. Now you're out of bounds. If Dalton Schultz drags his feet there, they're like 55, 60 yards from the end zone. They have a shot at a Hail Mary now.
Mm-hmm.
And Hail Marys, even with the Hail Mary, it's very unlikely to come true, but it happens. The laterals are way riskier and way less likely to happen. So that just put us in a terrible position by just a simple football knowledge standpoint of knowing where you're at on the field, knowing where the sideline is, and dragging your feet. Very simple.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the play that really, really frustrated me.
Right. The Diggs not interception. I mean, big. and then to hear his sounds of the sideline. Thank you, Curse. Kind of chewed his ass out, and rightfully so. Because he was like, it just hit me in the chest. And Curse was like, dude, where are your hands? Where are your good hands at?
Yeah.
So
he's dropped a couple like that this year, which was surprising.
Yeah.
And last year he was catching all those.
And his tackling, you have to question. You're on a grass field, and when you walk into the locker room at the end of the game and you are in a pristine white jersey, what's going on there? What's happening in that situation? Then there was the play that Kittle, when he did the bobble the ball, and Diggs had it. I mean, Diggs went flying right by him, and if he wasn't going to hit him, he could have smacked that ball straight out of his hands when he went by him.
He wasn't looking at the ball, which is weird for Diggs. And he tried to lower his shoulder for a big hit, why, Diggs, do you decide in that moment to lower your shoulder? Right. And you're right. He could have snatched the ball out of the air, or he could have at least knocked the ball away. And that was a huge play. That was what their touchdown. That started their last touchdown drive that gave them the lead.
And there's actually a question if Kittle was an eligible receiver, because he was inside a guy on the line and not, enough off the ball and was covered. So there was that question, but that's not the only things that lost us this game by any means. That offense just struggled, tripped over their own feet. I think CD was the only one getting any separation. And then we do have to question Dak reading the field. And, there was that one throw that he threw into like 5-man coverage to Noah Brown. And there were 2 different incidences. And CD was wide open on the seam. And there was another one that T.Y. Hilton was open on the seam that Dak decided to throw somewhere else. So it was a culmination of a lot of things.
Yeah, it was. The offense didn't play well after Pollard went down. And it was a struggle from there. And that's what you get when you have a front office that likes their guys and decides, hey, we're going to re-sign Michael Gallup after a major injury, and we're going to roll out there with Noah Brown as our wide receiver 2, and that's enough for us. Right. And that's an issue. I'm sorry, guys. That is an issue.
And Gallup isn't completely back. I mean, that interception, it was a stop route, and he didn't even come back for the ball. He just kind of gave up and didn't even try and get the defender when he realized the defender was in between him and the ball.
Yeah, and there was multiple former wide receivers from the NFL who came out and said, "Hey, that one's completely on Gallup. That's on Gallup." And
yeah, that's a good one, Professor Al.
Yeah, man, like his brick hands. So it's frustrating. There's a lot of things we've read through. It's definitely a winnable game. Unfortunately, we did not pull it off, and here we are in the off season. So the off season's kind of already started for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Right.
And
Right.
there's some big questions. There's some big things going on. You want to start rattling off? We'll go one by one. And well, let me just say the first one, the big news, which a lot of people said was the biggest acquisition from last year. This offseason looks like it might be the biggest. Hopefully, it's not, but it might be the biggest acquisition again from this year. It's not really an acquisition, but it's just Dan Quinn deciding to forego moving
Right.
to another, getting a head coaching job. He had it. He could have chose. I think, in my personal opinion, he could have chose Denver or Arizona, and it was his choice. And he decided to come back. He loves his guys. He loves Micah Parsons.
He
He
can't
said
leave
that
his son
repeatedly.
Micah. He
He
couldn't
said
leave
that
his son
repeatedly.
Micah.
I
Yeah.
mean, Micah Parsons freaked us out by saying he goes where Dan Quinn goes. So hopefully
Right.
Dan Quinn stays here for a long time. But Dan Quinn coming back is just huge because everybody was saying he's gone. And I love it because,
Oh yeah.
you have Dan Quinn and this defense is looking to continue again next year. What were your
Yeah.
thoughts? I know you wanted him back.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This whole week I've been a bit distraught. Everybody knows how much I love Dan Quinn, and the thought of not only, I mean, Dan Quinn gone, Kellen Moore gone. Who else knew what was going to happen? If we were even keeping Mike McCarthy, until 3 o'clock yesterday, there was a lot of questions going on if Mike McCarthy was going to be here. But Dan Quinn coming back, I have the same optimism that I had this season, knowing that our defense can win games and that we will have a solid defense. And yes, he lost a couple of coaches that he actually said that he was very shocked and surprised by this next coach that we'll talk about. But definitely having that, having Dan Quinn back, it restores some of my hope. Not the hope that front office is trying to feed me, but the hope knowing that our defense can remain like it is. So
Yeah, absolutely.
But
So
then, I was going to say,
no,
but
no,
then
I was
we
just going to say
get to
go
the
down the list. Yeah.
surprise. So Dan Quinn said that when he talked to George Edwards, that he was surprised that George Edwards has been let go. And that is one position I don't understand why they let him go. Vitalin, getting, Micah Parson for the last 2 years. You've got to give him credit to some of the stuff that's happened with LVE this year. And to take a linebacker room that you have your main linebacker is actually more of an edge rusher. You have LVE, so you've got your Mike that people have doubted and has been coming off injury, who's had a stellar year, outstanding stellar. And you know what? I might have kept a list of some of you that gave me so much crap about LVE and saying, "Oh, he's not it, and he's not it." And now I'm seeing tweets where you're all like, "Oh, we have to re-sign him. He's done well." I see you. I see you out there. And then
Absolutely.
to have Barr be there sometimes and not. Clark was a good surprise for us because we didn't even think we were going to have him on the field. And then you've got Jabril Cox, who for 2 seasons hasn't even made it onto the roster 90% of the time. So George Edwards being gone just confuses the hell out of me.
Yeah, I don't know who made that call, but it's the wrong call. You can see the improvement with our linebackers over the last 2 years. LVE played better last year and then played even better again this year. You can see Clark coming in and contributing. Anthony Barr had a better year than he's had in a couple of years playing in this. And then Micah Parsons, when he plays linebacker, he's getting help. And it just doesn't make sense to me at all that we would let him go. I don't know who made that call. But if you guys look back, when did we finally stop putting up with Jalen Smith's BS? Oh, that was the year that George Edward took over the linebacking core. And you could see it in training camp. Jalen Smith was struggling badly on I can't even remember the drills, and
right.
I can't remember the name.
Oh
of it,
yeah, no, yeah.
And he
when
kept messing up.
He was hitting
yeah.
it, but he couldn't even hit the dummy right. He couldn't push
They were
it.
messing. They were beating him up. And
Right,
Edwards was like,
right.
"Come on, this is
It was
basic.
like me trying to hit it.
This is basic stuff."
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it. And he even told Jalen, he was like, "Hey, they kicking your ass today." And
Mm-hmm.
a couple weeks later into the season, he's cut. And look, I love George Edwards. I don't know why George Edwards is gone, but I think it's the wrong call.
There was whispers that he could be the defensive coordinator if Dan Quinn left. So he went from that, and the fact that if Dan Quinn was truly surprised they let him go. So, and I understand that Quinn hadn't said that he was coming back or not, but Dan Quinn's still under contract. Don't you think that you would have a conversation with the man that runs the defense that you're letting go of one of his biggest guys?
Yeah. And this is a great point by Professor O right here.
No.
Jaron Curse signed because Edwards.
Right. Absolutely.
Edwards
brought him from Minnesota.
Brought him in.
Yeah.
So that one was a shock to me. Pretty upset about it, to be honest with you. I don't get it. Reagan TC. But yeah, it doesn't sit right with me, and I hope we don't regret it. But right. I feel like we will.
I don't like that one. We'll stay on the defensive side of the ball. Leon Lett.
That's another one I don't understand.
Leon Lett, the man took an injury this year. In the beginning of the year in camp. And
with our D line, I get it. He's the assistant defensive line coach, but I don't get, with our D line being the obvious strength of the defense, why we would let him go. Like he's been fantastic. Right. So I don't get that one either. But there might be some certain circumstances that I'm unaware of, but I don't get Leon Lett being gone.
I believe both him and then, the assistant head coach, Rob Davis. Mm-hmm. And mind you that all 6 of these names that we're going to go through came out that they were gone before we knew if Mike McCarthy was still on and if what was going on, and before that 3 p.m. presser yesterday. So we start seeing all these names, and my gut feeling was, whoa, this is starting to feel like a head coach change. That and it's not that these guys were fired. They were notified that their contracts were not being renewed.
Yeah.
So, I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. There's some big, really big things happening. Rob Davis, I truly believe that Rob Davis and Leon Lett, Jerry has always preached that he thought there were too many coaches. There was too many coaches under the umbrella. And I think that Leon Lett and Rob Davis are 2 of those cut the fat people in that situation, is kind of my thought process on it. But now, okay, we'll start with one that I think 90% of Cowboys Nation wanted to happen. And goodbye, Mike McCarthy's best friend, Joe Philbin. Everybody give a round of applause.
Yes.
Thank you.
Look, I don't mean to be mean to Joe Philbin.
I'm not being mean.
Last year. I wanted him gone last year.
Musical chairs, you name it, we had it.
We've had a lot of issues with O-line development in the past. And just weird decisions, playing musical chairs one week in one series. We know for a fact, because he came out and said it, that if Tyron Smith did not get hurt in training camp, that Tyler Smith was not going to be the starting left guard to start the year. It was going to be McGovern, because that was Joe Philbin's guy. Joe Philbin loved Connor McGovern.
Oh, yeah.
He was going to get him on the field. So it's just, I'm glad the development wasn't working. The development really started with a lot of these guys when they started working out with Duke Manyweather, and people were like, "Oh, well, you can't discredit Philbin." Yes, I'm sorry. These guys went across the street and they started working with Duke Manyweather, and they started to get better. That's where Steele was all the time. Mm-hmm. So whoever we hire, I hope it's Duke, but I doubt Duke will actually want to go work for a team. He's got his own gig going on, and he's doing great at it. But I'm glad he's right across the street from the Star.
I wonder what Columbo's doing.
Oh, I would love Colombo back, but hopefully we go out and get somebody good.
Yeah.
And
Right,
I'm sorry,
right.
I'm as much as you guys with Mike McCarthy, he's done a lot of good things here. One thing we can say for a fact is Mike McCarthy hiring all his buddies has not worked out.
No.
Most of the stuff has come from people who were brought in after his buddies failed.
Yeah. Our first lesson was Mike Nolan.
Yes. Yeah.
You know.
So we'll have to work out and see what happens next, but
yeah, I would love to have what's his name, offensive line coach from the Steelers. He's free.
Oh yeah,
it starts with an M.
Matt,
Professor O. Somebody help me out, but I know he's free, and he's a hell of a coach, and he was a hell of a player. We'll just glaze over this one. Quality control analytics coach Kyle Valero. Once again, I think another trim the fat. There we go, Munchak.
There you go, Munchak. Yeah,
he's free.
He was the coach for the Titans for a long time when they had that big, huge line that was dominating everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. I would be all for him coming in. Like I said, Kyle Valero, I think, is another trim the fat kind of guy. Another, Jerry's thinking that's another mouth to feed. We need to get rid of him. So now the one that's very interesting is Skip Pete. And Skip Pete was rather vocal this year, saying that Tony Pollard couldn't carry the whole load and, and all of this. And so him being gone is really interesting.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And let me tell you right now, I told everybody this because I went and I dug and I talked to quite a few people and figured out this information that everybody was questioning the running back rotation. What's going on with the running back rotation? Why is Zeke getting these carries and Pollard getting these carries and everything like that? And people wanted to throw it on Kellen Moore because he was the offensive coordinator. It was not Kellen Moore who was making the running back rotation. It was Skip Pete. He was the one that made the rotation. He said, hey, this guy is going in on this series. That guy's going in on that series. And then Kellen Moore would call plays based on who's in the offense. But the running back rotation was Skip Pete. He's gone. We'll see what happens. We'll see who gets in here. But yeah, I'm not upset about Skip Pete being gone, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, because we could, in all likelihood, depending on what's going to happen in this offseason, have an entirely new running back room besides maybe Dowdle and Davis coming back. We did get good news this week that the actual break in the fibula of Tony Pollard did not require surgery, but they still did the surgery on the high ankle sprain. Mm-hmm. And so that recovery should be a lot sooner, no screws involved, things like that. So that's good news. But then at the same time, he's a free agent. And is this injury going to hurt, other teams coming at him? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Do they can franchise tag him and try and work that out? Would we say franchise tag, I think, is what, 10.2, 11.3, somewhere around there for a running back this year. But, now we've got the big question of Zeke. And Zeke's Zeke never hit 100 yards this season. Not once. And for RB1, not always the best thing. I think the closest he got was 92, 93 yards. We have to wonder about that contract. We finally have our out. I mean, we're going to have to eat a little bit of money, but we have our out.
Look, I love Zeke, and I appreciate everything he's done for us the last 6 years. I really do. Right. 6, 7 years, whatever it is. I'm not paying Zeke his current contract. So in my opinion, Zeke has a choice. 1, you get cut, or 2, you take a reduced salary. And I'm not even talking about a restructure. I'm talking about a brand new contract.
I'm almost willing to say we'll pay you what your cap hit would be, like a post June 1 cut, which I think is somewhere around $4 million, because he's really been reduced to a short yardage running back. And throughout the games, I mean, you can look at his yards average per carry, but after After week 14, he couldn't break 60 yards. The last games of the season, 58, 55, 37, 10, 27, and 26. Mind you, we do have to keep in mind that Steele did go down in that period in time, and that did really affect our run game.
Yeah.
But the sheer fact that 92 was his high, 81 was the closest, and his yards per carry, I mean, we had good weeks at 5.2, 5.75, but we did get down to where our carries were 1.25 a game.
Yeah. And look, his salary hit is the cap hit is 16.7 next year. You cannot pay that to him. You just cannot.
His post June 1 cut, though, I think is $4 million would be our cap hit.
No, it's still, I mean, yeah, it's the dead money on that is 5.8.
Okay.
The cap savings is 10.9 though.
Okay.
So you got a big cap saving by doing the post June 1st.
Okay. And if I was playing GM and knowing that we needed that third down short yardage running back, on the team, in a tandem with Pollard or whoever we have, I would offer him that money that would be our dead money and say, dude, you want to be around here? I'll pay you the dead money. We're going to pay it to you regardless. Mm-hmm. So we'll pay you the dead money. You can stay around. Let's redo this contract. You can stay a Cowboy.
Yeah.
And do that.
I said when he signed this contract that it was a 4-year contract. A lot of people were like, oh, it's an 8-year contract. I'm like, no, it's a 4-year contract. That's when the deal
right.
And he will not be on this contract again after that. That was 4 years ago. And I'm telling you right now, he's not going to be on this contract next year. This will not happen. You can't. Whether or not you pay Tony Pollard is a big question. I love Tony Pollard, great guy. I hate paying running back. Despise it, absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
Malik Davis looks great, like he can carry the load. To be honest with you.
And Dowd will look good before he went down.
Dowd will look good before he goes down, and you can draft the running back in the mid rounds. Like, it's not hard to find running backs in the NFL today. So, unless Pollard's taking some kind of good deal, team-friendly deal, I'm not re-signing Pollard. I'm definitely not tagging him. I'm sorry, and we can have a brand new backfield. In my opinion, I'm just I hate paying running backs big money.
Right, and that'll, and that can. And that kind of brings up I know a lot of the people at Cowboys.com, and I know a lot of Twitter has been pounding the desk for Bijan there at our pick in the first. I can't do it. No. I don't want to. I don't want to think about it. I don't want it to happen. If we don't go corner or wide receiver in the first 2 rounds, I'll be in Kansas City, and I'm going to, it won't be pretty.
I'm not locking myself into any position in the first round, but I'm targeting something like that and saying, hey, is this guy who have a wide receiver or cornerback as the best player? Absolutely. Okay, then we go that route. That's what I'm looking for, but I'm not locking myself into any specific position. But I know I am locking myself out of drafting a running back in the first round. I'm sorry, running backs are not worth that first round pick anymore.
No, you can find so many more serviceable ones, even after the 3rd round in this draft. And, a lot of us have gotten straight into draft mode now that the season's over. And man, I've started my list already of running backs. I'm not doing it. I don't care how much you are in love with Bijan. I'm not doing it. I can't.
Yeah, neither am I. I can't do it. Bijan could be a very great player. I don't care. I'm not doing the first round pick. Sorry. There's plenty of great running backs that are going to come out of this draft. So, okay. So that's pretty much the coaching changes right now. There is kind of a big one that's going on right now. It's not a change yet. We don't know what's going to happen. But his name's been brought up multiple times in the chat already. He's all over Twitter, people talking about it. Kellen Moore. Is Kellen Moore going to return as the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys next year? Cam, what do you think? Oh, you're muted. I don't know how that happened.
No, sorry. I changed. I'm getting some feedback, and I don't know. I didn't know if it was me or you that it's happening. It looks like it's your mic that's muffled.
Oh, geez.
Okay. Okay. So gut feeling is Kellen Moore comes back. I don't know if they're going to make that change for sure. It It's really frustrating because here's the thing. I think Kellen Moore is somewhat lumped into the same situation that Dak is that, Dak wasn't the only one that was hampered by not having weapons. Kellen Moore was hampered by not being able to scheme for having all these weapons. So, God, I just don't know. I don't know if they're going to use Kellen Moore as the fall guy and switch it up. I will say that we do understand that they were bringing in Kellen Moore and talking to him today, and everybody thought we were going to have their answer. No, that is not the Jerry Jones way. Jerry Jones likes to, when Jason Garrett got fired, it got announced an hour before those playoff games started on that day because Jerry likes to steal people's thunder. Mm-hmm. And so he was not going to. We weren't getting an answer today, but I'm very torn because I think I know what the front office. I don't know what the front office is going to do, so that's what bothers me. So
yeah. People are saying they're hearing static. Do you guys still hear the static when I'm talking right now? Yeah.
Mute yourself for. Yeah, I can hear it. Mute yourself and see if that changes it right now. Yeah, it totally changed it. Yeah, it went away. So it's something on your end. But okay, while he works on it, you guys send me questions. What do you want to know? I want to thank you all for being in here, hanging with us on a Friday night. I know you guys aren't used to seeing us except for in the daylight hours, but
is it still there?
Yeah, it's still doing it.
Jeez,
that's weird. It's
so weird.
Yeah, it came up, and you want to go out and come back in?
Yeah, let me get out and come back in. And see
if you get out of here, mister. Be gone with you. But no, frustrating. You guys tell me in the chat, do you think Kellen goes? Do you think he stays? Do you think we should retain him? I'm going to stand by the fact that I think Kellen Moore's hands were tied. One, by the front office in telling him that that Zeke needed so many touches and what needed to go on. I also think that he was faced with the same kind of stress and same kind of hurdles that Dak was, that, you can only do so much with an offense that you didn't get the help that was needed. And when you're making Noah Brown your wide receiver 2, and, in hopes of when Gallup gets back, and then you don't have any depth after that, you are creating problems. So what do we got here? DMV trucker, you think he needs to be gone? All right. How fast? I don't know. How fast can you get to his house and pack him for him? But maybe. Okay. So for those of you guys that want him gone, drop in the chat. Who do you think they should go hire? And I don't want to hear anybody say Cliff Kingsbury, because we already saw what the guy can do. He did not do well in Arizona. He didn't do well at Texas Tech. So I'm over anybody mentioning Cliff Kingsbury. So
is that any better?
So much better. Welcome back.
Okay.
So
I know your answers to questions, and it kind of has, hey, Kellen Moore question. I will give a response and what I think. I don't think Kellen Moore's gone. That is my personal opinion. I don't know anything. I just don't think he's gone. And we're going to continue. He's going to be the offense coordinator and play caller next year. My personal opinion of what I want is I want Kellen Moore gone. And I'll give you 2 reasons on why I want Kellen Moore gone. And you guys all know that I am a huge Kellen Moore advocate. And so it might surprise you on why I want Kellen Moore gone. 2 reasons. First reason, because Kellen Moore is going, if they fire Kellen Moore is going to be a free agent for about 5 hours.
Yeah.
And this is not even just coming from me. This is coming from Tom Pelissero, who says that he will be picked up immediately, within a night or two. Easily. He will get picked up by a team. He'll be an offensive coordinator somewhere else. Tom Pelissero also announced, if you didn't know, because I'm Twitter going off on Kellen Moore and how he can't get a head coaching job. He's not good enough and stuff like that. Well, Tom Pelissero reported today that Kellen Moore almost got the Carolina Panthers job. They literally had him stay overnight. He was this close to getting it. They decided to go with more experience with Frank Wright, but he interviewed with them so well that they made the Carolina Panthers really put a lot of thought into it, and he was almost hired. So Kellen Moore is there. He'll get easily picked up for an offensive coordinator super quick. Okay. And so getting back to the one reason, when he goes somewhere, he's going to ball out, and he's going to have a top 3 offense, top 5 offense wherever he goes. And people can bitch and cry with the Cowboys Nation about why he's doing so well somewhere else. And I want to see it. I want to see you guys cry because you guys trash him nonstop. And I want to see you guys cry about him. Second reason is because he's going to be gone. And you realize that not a lot is going to change with this philosophy of this offense. And you're going to go, Kellen Moore's gone, but they're doing a lot of the same stuff. Why is that? Well, because nothing has changed since the 90s. Because guess what? It's not Kellen Moore who's giving out the philosophy of what this offense wants to do. It's not Kellen Moore's design. Kellen Moore is being told what to do with this offense. Yes, he gets to call plays. Yes, he gets to design some certain plays, but it is based on a philosophy that this front office wants to run. And it hasn't changed since the 90s, and it's not going to change with a new offensive coordinator. And guess what? You're probably going to get, if you fire Kellen Moore, you're probably going to get Nussmeier as your offensive coordinator, or Scott Shanahan. What's his name?
Schottenheimer. No, thank you.
You're probably going to get him because they've already brought him in to look at stuff. So guess what? You get Schottenheimer. You want to see a terrible offense? Go watch Schottenheimer calling the offensive plays for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
You guys are going to regret trying to force out Kellen Moore so badly, and I want to see it happen. I'm sorry. I want to see it happen. Because you guys have dragged this dude so much, and you guys are going to regret it. I'm not kidding. You guys are going to regret it.
I thought it was Stevie J that had it. Someone had the stats of Kellen's average offense since he started.
It's top 3.
I don't believe any year was below 7.
And that 7 was in 2020 without Dak, and when he had 4 different quarterbacks.
Right.
4 different quarterbacks, and he's still.
Yeah. There are times I have to. My one thing that I ever have to question about Kellen Moore is that. Does he adjust in game well when some things aren't going well? That might be the one place he really needs to work on. Yeah. But y'all, we went from praising the high heavens, and Kellen Moore was so deep in his bag again in the Tampa Bay game. But I don't know if we were taking into consideration that we were facing the number 1 defense this last week. Now, did some things look flat? Are we tired of the 4 curl routes or whatever? Yeah, we can be particular about some of those things. But, the grass is not greener out there everywhere.
Look, I think everybody will admit that Shanahan is one of the best play callers, if not the best play caller in the NFL. He's top 2, probably top 3 with him and McVay. And if you want to throw somebody else in there, Andy Reid, you can throw them in there.
It's not Bieniemy that's calling that. That's Andy Reid. Andy Reid is making Bieniemy look good. So
I think we can all agree Shanahan's probably top 3. And he has this amazing offense, and he has these amazing playmakers everywhere around.
And he's got a list of people under him. I mean, D'Amico Ryan is now like the top guy for Houston job right now.
But here's my point: is that you saw them struggle on Sunday.
Yeah.
Why?
We held
because
them
they
to
were
19
playing
points.
a really, really good defense.
Right.
These guys aren't just, hey, he's a great offense coordinator, so he can just thrash any defense in the NFL. No, they're playing a really good defense in the Dallas Cowboys. We played a really good defense in the San Francisco 49ers. The number 1 defense in yards allowed, the number 1 defense in points allowed. They're top defense. And we struggled against them 100%. You're going to struggle. No offensive coordinator outside of Andy Reid this year really put it on that defense.
Right.
Didn't happen.
No. And like this, it got called vanilla at the beginning of the year, but you also need to remember that's when we really were rolling with thinking that, I mean, CD was still doing the redemption CD thing. You had Noah Brown as wide receiver 2.
So
you had, I mean, there wasn't depth. There wasn't options to play with. Schultz went down and got hurt.
You've also had multiple players, including most recently 2 weeks ago, and Mike Evans, who has called Dan Quinn's defense. He's called that vanilla. He said it's basic.
Yeah,
simple.
Guess what happened?
And guess what? Everybody went off on that comment like he was insulting them. If you actually go back and listen to what he was saying, he was just saying it's a basic, simple concept, but they're a great defense because they do it really well, it's true. It's not overly complicated. We don't crazily blitz out of nowhere.
We do a lot of stunts.
We do stunts. Yes, that's the big thing. We do a lot of stunts, but we're usually just rushing 4. We're one of the teams that rushes 4 more than anybody else besides the 49ers.
I have to love that. I don't know if Dan Quinn took some of that personal and that we ran the Tampa 2 so much on them and it worked.
We have nobody to attack vertically. Not anymore. Not in the last 2 years because Gallup hasn't been healthy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have nobody to do it anymore.
Right.
CeeDee Lamb is not a burner. Can he get vertical sometimes? Absolutely. Is he going to just burn a defense? Absolutely not. We saw, and the guy's a great player. The guy's a great player. But we saw Fred Warner, a linebacker, running stride for stride with him.
Right. The guy that
CeeDee Lamb is not a burner.
Right. The guy that we have that's fast and can get vertical has been hurt all season, and they barely gave him any choice, and that's Simi Fehoko.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Who, congratulations, is having a baby and moving into a new house in Dallas.
Yes. So that's why, and these comments, I'm seeing these comments, and just let you know, that's why I'm hoping Kellen Moore is gone, because he's going to shut you all up, and you're going to regret, and you're going to go, and the excuse is, oh, why couldn't he do it here? Why couldn't he do it in Dallas? Because he's not allowed. He's not running the offense he wants to run. You want to know the offense he wants to run? Go watch some Boise State tape. You'll see what offense he wants to run. One of the biggest misconceptions on Kellen Moore is that he is a Linehan and Garrett disciple. That's complete BS. Complete BS. He's a Patterson disciple. So I'll move on for a minute. I'll get off my soapbox, but you guys are going to regret it when he's gone, and it's going to be hilarious to me. So
yeah. I'm going to stand by the fact that I think that if he is gone, we will hear right before one of the games starts this weekend, because that's Jerry's way. I kind of have the feeling that they're going to keep him. I don't see I don't see them getting rid of him, honestly. And I think part of the problem is that, there's been 2 weeks of, coaches and people wanting to grab, coaches from other teams already going on. And I don't know. But, this front office is really hard to tell what they'll do. So,
yeah,
but
it is whatever.
Yeah. So, um, so looking forward to, let's talk a little draft.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone over. I think we've gone over everything we can. We've figured out the coach's thing. Hallelujah. Backwards hat, Daddy Dan Quinn's coming back, and we're still scratching our head over George Edwards, and the Kellen Moore thing is unknown. I think Nix is the one that made the comment today. Maybe they're having a sleepover at Jerry's tonight to figure things out. They'll have their little pajama party. But so let's kind of swing to the draft. And if anybody in the chat throw up give me your 2 positions you think are most important and 2 targets that you have for them. But I'm going to say, I mean, we've already heard absolutely do not want a wide receiver in that first, or a running back in that first round. I'm super happy with, doing either a corner or a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds like that. And I'm
even happy with going O-line.
Yeah, what's funny is that I haven't had many O linemen that I've just started doing my mocks, and I haven't had many of them fall right there, where Joey Porter Jr. is there like almost every damn time I'm picking.
Ooh, so I would go Porter Jr. every single time.
Right.
I can't believe it's super early. We're months away from the draft. Super early. This is going to change quite a bit from where we are now. Next month it'll be different. Players are going to skyrocket. You're going to have the combine, and these underwear Olympics players are going to skyrocket because they run a 4.2 and didn't produce it all in college, but hey, they can produce in the NFL.
Right.
So it's going to change.
Witherspoon and Gonzalez are almost. Yeah, see, Witherspoon and Gonzalez are like gone every single time, and sometimes Cam Smith is gone. But I mean, I did like 7 of them today, and I'm not gonna lie, like get a guy 5 like of them, I had Joey Porter Jr. there.
I think Joey Porter Jr. would be such a good pairing with Diggs, a physical corner like that. Man, yeah, I would. Man, I would salivate at that possibility.
Yeah. You know what?
Yes, Tywin Thornton, yes.
I have one of them saved. Would y'all like to see it?
Oh, bring it on up.
Okay. Let me see. I have 2 of them. So, and, okay. We will do this one first. Let me get it saved into here for y'all.
Bring it on up. Let's see what we got. And y'all can give a grade. I want to see you guys' grades on Cam's mock draft.
Hey,
don't be too rough.
I'm just going to let y'all know. And so I tweeted out this first one. And y'all can call me a homer all you want. But I had reason. No, this is the other one. This was my first one. This is one that I shared in the chat. Okay.
Here we go.
So, I mean, I'm kind of loving it. You know what? And they can F off with Jared Clark is a beast. And Cameron Brown was just for depth. You know what? PFF, screw you and your stupid grades.
Okay.
But
I like Sewell. I like Noah Sewell, linebacker. Okay, not bad. I do like this one.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't like your Rashee Rice pick though.
You don't?
No, I said they don't. They're giving you a C. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, come on, that's silly. That guy. Have y'all seen him block? Holy cow!
Yeah. Give your grade. Give your grades in the chat, people. Let her know. Right. Overall grade. I like it.
Okay, and I'm gonna bring up my other one because.
Okay, you got 2. Okay, I haven't started doing mocks yet.
I have 2 of them. Okay, so this one I really liked. And before y'all start, I know there are 2 Huskies on this.
Ooh,
But
she
I'm
got us some
gonna
Huskies.
let you know right now, Jackson Kirkland can play both tackle and guard. So there was 100% a reason for that.
Flexibility.
My last pick, when I took Henry Banavulu, the dude is a beast at tackle. And to take him in the last round, and I'm telling you right now, let Duke get a hold of this guy, and he's a starter in the NFL.
Okay.
So here is draft number 2 from today. Kenny McIntosh is amazing at receiving, also, along with the running. D. Winters seems to be there on absolutely everybody's draft right there at linebacker. So I probably saw him on 15 other people's drafts today. But yeah, Cam Smith fell to me there. Jalen Hyatt, love him.
Nice pick. Absolutely.
Love it.
I'm loving the Sewell pick in the 3rd. Man,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
yeah. I'm about that one all day, every day. So
it's kind of weird watching you pick a Cougar in back-to-back drafts.
Okay, I'm gonna have to tell you right now, but that kid is so solid at tackle, and I mean, it's not. Hey, you know what? You know how it made me feel to have to pick a duck and then a cougar back to back like that?
Right. Okay.
But you gotta acknowledge when they're good, and both those players are really, really solid, good players. So I went there.
Yeah,
But,
no, absolutely.
Yeah,
You kind of got to take them away, take away their college,
right.
When you're looking at it, because you can't be. I mean, some really good Osa Digizua. I like Osa Digizua. Went to UCLA. Absolutely hate
Right.
UCLA.
Right. But I spread the love out. I mean, I got us a corner, I got us a wide receiver, I got us another. I mean, can you imagine our linebacker room if we added Sewell to it? And I got us 3 guys to help on our offensive line. I got us 2 guys to help on our defensive line. Then I got McIntosh to come in there because we have no idea what's going to happen with our running back room. And then, threw in another extra linebacker because who knew, Godwin, one of our special team specialists may not be around next year. So
yeah,
I like that one.
This right here, I'm a big Andrew Voorhees fan. I know a lot of people are as well. We have a buddy of ours. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Browning. He does the blue chip scouting. Chris knows him. I can't think of his first name right now. So I apologize to him. But he's not a big fan of his. We've gone back and forth about Voorhees. He's not a big fan of his. I am, but he needs a lot of work. He needs a lot of work. He's not a plug in day one gonna dominate everybody, but he has a lot of traits. He has a lot of talent. There you go, Tyler Browning. There you go. Thank you. I knew you knew him. I just couldn't think of his first name for some reason. I like him. Tyler does not like him. Follow Tyler. If you're not following Tyler on Twitter, follow him. He's putting out great content, draft content. So definitely check him out. But I might be biased because I'm a USC fan. So that might be my bias, but I like him. All right. What other guys? We got a few minutes left. What other players are you guys looking at positions? Maybe we can name some players at those positions for you guys.
Is that Jason Voorhees' nephew?
I don't know if he is.
And you know what I did notice? There's another Fehoko coming in the draft, but he's a defensive lineman.
Yes,
that would make 3.
yeah.
He
has his brother there, right?
No, that's his cousin. That's in
cousin
the Chargers. Yeah, it's his cousin. So, yeah, but Chris, I don't have your. We talked too much in that chat for me to find that draft you had, but maybe list who you have, who you had in the chat, and we could talk about them. But yeah.
Well, let me ask you this question, okay? It's probably not going to happen, just because most of them will probably be gone off the board. But let's say we get to our pick, and you have Cam Smith, you have Joey Porter Jr., you have Jordan Addison, and
What?
I'm just throwing some stuff out there, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. So 2 top cornerbacks, 2 top wide receivers. Where would you go?
To the corner and cry because I can't pick. Honestly, to tell you the truth, because I feel like there's some depth in this wide receiver class, and I don't think this corner class will go as deep. I think I'm going to take one of those corners, and I'm going to pick up a wide receiver in the second. God, and you guys can all kill me in the chat. I get it. But damn.
I can understand that. My only issue is here's my balancing act. Is you're 100% spot on. Wide receiver, I think, is the deeper position. You can get people later in the draft. Bigger need for me is wide receiver. I think of the wide receiver so much more of a bigger need. So I'm like, give me another star on the offensive side of the ball to pair with CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I can see that.
With the cornerback, we feel confident. I feel confident, at least, with Deron Bland going into next year, playing slot or playing in the on the outside. Then we saw Izzy play well in the slot. Then we know we're going to get Brown. We can get Brown and Lewis back, probably again on the cheap. So we have at least some decent players. I'm not going to say they're all stars or they're amazing players, but at least you have some players there. Wide receiver, I mean, you don't have anybody really. You have CeeDee Lamb,
right?
And then you have Fehoko.
Yeah.
Gallup, maybe if Gallup. I mean, you have Gallup if he can come back.
Gallup.
But like you got to see him come back. He's got
Noah Brown's free agent.
Noah Brown's a free agent, even if you want to bring him back.
I mean, thank you very much for your service. Bye-bye.
T.Y. Hilton's gone. If we could resign him, but I mean,
we could.
There's a lot of questions.
Well, yeah, and because we, we're like the worst in free agency. We yard sale shop, we go to the dollar store at, into week 2, we barely do anything right hot off the bat. And this is what you got in free agency. I mean, Juju. And I swear to God,
I could go Juju, but
I could go Juju.
Pay him. I think you got to pay him more than I want to pay him.
Right. And I swear to God, if I hear any more of those conversations about should we trade for D-Hop, are you freaking kidding me? Do you know what that contract looks like? Do you know what it would cost us?
Cost to get him?
Right. I mean, let's just freaking stop that crap. But I mean, you look at this list, and I mean, bless your heart, Randall Cobb, you're hurt, and thank you we got you paid once. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Lazard. Juju. I mean, I'm DJ Shark, but
yeah, there's nothing out there. So that was my whole point. Is there's not a lot out there. You're gonna have to trade for Cooks. You're gonna have to you have to trade for somebody. So wide receiver is the bigger need for me, and then, but you're right. Wide receivers deeper in the draft, so you might be able to steal someone later in the draft. So that's why I want to throw out that question.
If I know I can have Rice, in that second pick, then I'm taking Cam Smith or Joey Porter Jr. in the first. I'm done. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
so
I get you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to go. I know We got a good hour in here. We appreciate everybody in the chat joining us. Thank you for continued support for Pick Six Sports. And we're going to get into the off season. We're going to get into draft season. So we're not done yet.
No, we're going to be here. You can't get rid of us.
Yeah.
We're going to be around. And yeah, thank you all for hanging with us all season. We wish we could have been talking about some games a couple weeks longer.
Mm-hmm.
But, we love you all. Be kind to each other.
Yes.
And you'll know, before we know it, it'll be September and we'll be saying go Cowboys.
Absolutely. 100%. Have a good one, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.